Welcome to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-hosts, FP Santangelo Jr. and Russell Jackman. Not sure if Vern is going to join us today. At each commercial break, we're going to ask a sports trivia question. And since we are in the NBA wind down, so to speak, for the year, NBA finals. Playoffs, yes. So we're in the playoffs, and NBA finals is going to be our theme. And But we do have some sad news, though. This is FP's last show. Unless we get lucky enough that he gets fired from his new job. No.
No. They got to give me at least a week.
Exactly.
I feel like singing Sunrise, Sunset. Fiddler on the Roof.
Exactly. Got a few things to talk about. MLB potential franchise in Salt Lake City. Want to get your take on the Warriors and if they can bounce
Stomp heard round the world.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's been some pretty funny things on Twitter about that. All kinds of pictures, and then they show some wrestling stuff where those guys, they stomp on each other. It's really pretty funny. Jalen,
not that funny. This is the first time that Warriors fans and Kings fans have had a really dividing incident that is really causing a lot.
It's funny. When I first saw it, I thought, he just lost his balance and he had to kind of put his foot somewhere. But then I saw some replays. It was like, he didn't just step on it. He did do a stomper on that.
With Draymond Green, you got to pay a lot of attention when he's doing stuff because something's going to get called.
Yeah, that is true. All right. This segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money. By the way, on our Southwest Fund, of which I'm one of the managers, we just increased the interest rate starting May 1st from 8% to 8.5%. And it's fairly liquid, too, so that's a good thing. All right, stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here, along with Russell Jackman and FP Santangelo Jr. Now, FP, since this is today your last show for at least a while, we'll say, because never say never, right?
Never say never.
We're going to let you take it off. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I am from Sacramento. Okay, I was born in Walnut Creek in the East Bay area, but I went to high school in Sacramento. I went to school in Sacramento. I went to junior college in Sacramento. My whole family lives in Sacramento. The Kings are 2-0 on the Golden State Warriors. It's the first time in the Stephen Curry era, the Steve Kerr era, that the Warriors are 0-2 in a series. Isn't that pretty incredible? And my Sacramento Kings are doing it like the beam. I've been trash talking to everybody around here. It's been a lot of fun just because I feel like I'm in a fever dream. If somebody would have told me last year or really any year that the Sacramento Kings would be up 2-0 on the Golden State Warriors, I would have laughed at you. And I said, wow, are we playing NBA 2K or something? It's a video game. This is not a real thing. So I'm really enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. And I really hope this whole incident with Draymond Green, Sabonis, is going to spark a rivalry. Like, this is so good for Northern California sports. It is so much fun. And you know what? It'd be great, too. I'm a Kings fan. It'd be great if the Warriors came back 2-2 and let's go 7 games. This is awesome. I'm having a great time.
Yeah, aren't you glad this isn't a best-of-5 series like it used to be in the first round?
I'd be so bummed. I'd be so bummed.
And I lived in Sacramento for 8 years. And my first year in Sacramento, 1990, the Kings lost 42 straight road games. So it was one of the worst.
Wow.
Yeah, streaks it was the worst streak in NBA history. So I can wax philosophical about Dwayne Coswell and Travis Mays and Evers Burns and all some of the absolute worst lineups the NBA ever had. I mean, when I first was in Sacramento, I remember watching a Lakers game and the Kings were down by 40 at half at the halftime. So they've been, synonymous with misery, and it is great to see them come back again. Now, my thought is that I feel that Draymond deserved a technical, but I don't think he deserved to be ejected from that game. That is my
So my perspective as a Kings fan, and first and foremost, I love Draymond Green. I always have. I think he does anything he can to help his team win, right? I'm one of the rare people that defends Draymond Green all the time. I want him to play for the Kings. That's how much I love Draymond Green, okay? So let me put that out there first and foremost, right? Last night, he did something against the Kings, against my Sacramento Kings, and I thought like the stepping on the chest was a little much, right? You don't have to step on people's chest, right? And I understand he was already in foul trouble to begin with, right? I think he had 4 or 5 personal fouls at that time.
Yeah.
He was going to be on his way out anyways. Like it was just not a good thing that happened. Him and Sabonis have been going back and forth all series already, right? I mean, if you saw in game 1, Draymond kind of fell over Sabonis in the last minute and wouldn't let him get up, and he kept on sitting on him, right? It's the playoffs. Like, this is what you do. You try to get under each other's skin, right?
Well,
and I think it's funny.
Earlier in the game, sorry to interrupt, but earlier in the game, they had called a foul on Draymond that they had to rescind from the coach's challenge.
Yeah, because Sabonis like kind of ran into him a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So they're chippy. This is great. This is all great for basketball. I thought the step was a little much. I don't think he stomped him. I don't think it was WWE. I think he stepped on his chest, and then he actually put all of his weight on him on purpose, which was, I thought that was like a little bit too much, right? But, Draymond is a little too much. Like, Draymond is supposed to do that kind of stuff.
Sabonis did start it. Sabonis did start by grabbing his foot.
Sabonis said that he was
I would argue that they've been going back and forth the entire series. So I don't think it's like who started what. I think it just escalated. And you have to be – this is the most important thing I want to say. As Draymond Green, you have to realize what Sabonis is trying to do. He's trying to get you out of the game, and you fell for the trap, and the Kings won because of it, right? You got to be a smarter player.
They didn't win because of that. I don't think they won because of that.
I think it was a contributing factor for sure. I don't think it was
22 turnovers.
He was playing horribly. I mean, he throws the ball. Yeah. He was doing his typical Draymond where he was throwing the ball away right from the beginning.
The whole team was.
Yeah, true.
And Poole was 1 for 7.
He's got 1 foot though. He should. I don't think he should be playing. I think he's trying to be a tough. He's trying to be a good teammate. And he's trying to be a tough guy and go out there and help his team any way he can. I love Jordan Poole too. He's just. I think he's just not healthy at all. So I think you're going to see a lot less minutes from him. But the whole Draymond Green situation, I think you just need to be a smarter player, right? And we've seen this over and over and over again where him. It's almost like, a double-edged sword, right? He fires up his teammates. He does anything to win, right? He's the ultimate competitor, but at the same time, he hurts his team. And he hurt his team last night.
I mean, I appreciate the fact that it hasn't been coming to blows, I mean, you never really see Draymond get in a fight per se, right? He'll just get into people's grill and, but there are no punches thrown, But what's interesting is the age of the Sacramento Kings. I mean, they're 26 and under, but most of them, I don't know.
Yeah, they're a pretty young team.
Yeah, which is really cool because they've definitely been poised. I don't think they have quite enough to get to the finals, but they're sure showing their potential.
So I again, and Russ, I'd love to hear your thoughts after this. I think whoever comes out of this series is going to be absolutely gassed for the Lakers or the Grizzlies because the pace of play is absolutely ridiculous. The emotions are at an all-time high. I mean, it's just it's going to burn out both teams. And I think whoever's going to play in the next round is going to be burnt out. And I think it's going to be a detriment.
I would disagree with that because I think that the home crowd of Sacramento is so alive right now. That'll give them the extra energy if they go on to face the Lakers in Memphis. And don't think that the Lakers Memphis thing is not going to have its own, attrition. You already have John Morant with a messed up finger, and Davis almost tore his shoulder out. So and who knows what's going to happen to LeBron? He seems to get hurt every time somebody breathes on him when he's driving down the lane. And he
looks like it at least.
It's so funny, FP. I actually agree with you on that. Where if the pace is too fast, it reminds me of many years ago when I was in my early 20s. It was like when God was a little boy. I participated in the wrist wrestling championships in Petaluma. Because I thought, I'm kind of small, and I mean, I'm strong for my size, right?
Just like Snoopy.
just like Snoopy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's my first match with this guy, right? And this guy, I mean, he wore like elevator shoes. He had all this. I mean, I was just going on strength. He had all this great technique, right? The thing is, our match lasted almost 2 minutes, which, if you know anything about wrist wrestling, that's a really long time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. 2 minutes, anything is long.
Yeah.
That
And the
kind
thing is, what happens is you only get like about a 3-minute break, and then you got to go to the next level, right? So I looked, and I'm almost like, we kind of looked at each other a little bit while this was going on and going, you know what? No matter who wins, we're going to absolutely lose the next match. Both of us are just completely gassed,
Yeah.
And,
I mean, you could be 18 years old in basketball, okay? And you could play like basketball for the first time in months, and then the next day you're going to be extremely sore. These guys have been already doing it all season. Yeah. And then the pace literally is making me sweat too. So to your point, Edward, it's just absolutely ridiculous that these guys can keep up this pace, but it's just like, it's tiring me out. I know these are professional athletes and they got the best thing. Like, they've got the best conditioning in the world. They have the best resources in the world, but you got to think it's going to burn these guys out at some level, fundamentally.
Yeah, but on another level, being the first team since 2002 for Sacramento to really go anywhere and to advance against the Warriors, and that crowd, they have home court advantage going all the way through nearly to the finals, depending on which teams advance. And look, Phoenix doesn't look all that dominant anymore. I mean, they were supposed to be the team that everyone wanted to play.
Hey, Russ, stay with that. We have to go to our quick break here.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I know. Talking the NBA Finals. Which NBA team was the first to make more than 20 NBA Finals appearances overall? Which NBA team was the first to make more than 20 NBA Final appearances overall? Okay, stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back.
The Buffalo.
Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here, along with F.P. Santangelo Jr. and Russell Jackman. Our first trivia question: which NBA team was the first to make more than 20 NBA Finals appearances overall?
Well, I'm going to agree with the Celtics, but it might be the Lakers, going back to when they were Minneapolis.
No, you can only choose one answer.
I'm going to go with the Celtics just because of.
Okay, he's going to go with the Celtics. FP.
I'll go with the Lakers.
Lakers is correct. It does. It's, and Russell, you're on the right track. Yeah, it was the Minneapolis Lakers, then the LA Lakers, and if you add up just Lakers, that took the 20 appearances. I know. I would have thought it would have been the Celtics too. Hey, one quick thing about Draymond, and then we'll move on. I got to say, as much as he drives me crazy, I don't think there's anybody who works harder and 110% every game. I mean, he's never
that
lost.
Is true.
Around. Yeah,
that's true.
That's just my personal opinion. Hey, this is kind of interesting. Totally off topic here. So just as an FYI, the old golfer, he's now old, Gary Player.
Yeah, sounds familiar just because his last name was Player.
Yeah, okay. So he's, they say if you can shoot your age in golf, that's really good. I mean, I'm 63. There's no way I'm going to shoot at 63, right? Guess how many times he's shot his age? Now, really, it doesn't matter how old you are, right? I mean, if you're 120, you're expected to shoot 120,
Yeah.
He's shot it more than 3,000 times. Isn't that incredible?
Wow.
3,072 to be exact.
How old is Gary Player?
He's 73.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay, that's still insanely impressive.
Yeah. I mean, you got to figure if you're 50 years old, there's no way you're going to shoot a 50, and if you're 86, maybe you can shoot an 86. So it's right within that window of time that people can shoot. But I couldn't believe he shot it 3,000 times. Real quick thing about baseball here: Trevor Bauer makes his Japanese baseball debut after 2 years out of baseball. I guess the Japanese.
I think he's doing. I think he's in the minor leagues right now. Yeah, the Japanese minor leagues.
Yeah, and
so that's pretty interesting. I thought he'd be good enough to be on the real club, but I guess not yet. I think they got something waiting for him.
I wonder how much of it is the personal stuff, because he got accused of choking some girl or.
So they actually interviewed a lot of Japanese baseball fans, and they didn't even know who Trevor Bauer was or his situation. So I just think he's not ready to be on the big league team yet. which is it means it's understandable. He hasn't pitched in like almost 2 years. So
Almost 2 years. But do you think he'd be one of those players who, if a team recruits him, what kind of backlash there'd be?
no, I don't think nobody in Japan knows who he is.
No,
CNN
I'm
did
talking
like an
about
investigative.
here in Major League Baseball.
I think
yeah,
people
yeah.
have moved on.
Yeah, I think people have moved on, but at the same time, I think it depends like where the team is. Like here in San Francisco, obviously that wouldn't fly, but maybe the Texas Rangers, like people wouldn't care. I think it's just based on if you believe in cancel culture or not. I think like the big story that Russ brought up that we should definitely touch on is the selling of the Washington Commanders.
Yeah.
That is awesome for people in DC. I mean, it's going to be by, if you guys don't know, the Harris Group, I think is giving $6 billion right to Dan Snyder.
Yeah.
So he's going
They bought him for $750 million.
How long ago?
Wow, that's pretty incredible.
Like
so
20 years,
$750 million.
Yeah.
And the Harris Group, if you don't know, Josh Harris is a private equity investor. Okay, he's known for Apollo Global Management. And he's actually the owner of the Philadelphia 76ers, and he's also the owner of the New Jersey Devils. So this guy's been in it for a while. But guess what? He grew up in the D.C. area, so this is kind of going to be his baby. He's going to put all the attention on the Washington Commanders. It looks like this deal is going to go through. So, guys, what do you think?
Well,
I
Jeff
wish
Bezos
I wish I could fail $5.5 billion upwards.
Yeah,
I know,
Wait,
right?
How long ago did Dan Snyder pay 750 million?
Let me look that up right now while you
I
guys
think
discuss.
it's about 20 years ago. I think it's about 20 years. But
All right.
I mean,
well, while you guys are talking, I'm going
he's
to
one of the
go
most
ahead and figure
horrible
out what the
human
rate of return
beings.
is on that.
he's one of
In
the
1999.
1999. So that's
24 years.
4 years ago. Okay, so
Said about
750. Go ahead. You guys continue on. I'm going to figure this out while we're talking.
Well, I mean, considering he's one of the most reprehensible human beings on the planet that's not named Putin, he really failed upwards and is going to be $5 billion richer, for threatening to expose, to getting private investigators to follow around all the different owners and threaten to expose dirt on everybody. The humanity is better without Dan Snyder as part of it.
Okay,
Let's
so
just put it that
I just figured this out. Right, paying $750 million 24 years ago, turning into $6 billion. What is the annualized rate of return on a monthly basis? What would you think?
No idea. Go for it.
8.7%.
Oh, so he's like right on par with using Pacific private money.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go, Russ.
Very good, Russell. Very good. Hey, what do you?
My thoughts.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say my thoughts on the situation. This is the first time I've ever seen an owner of a sports team get bullied out of the league. I mean, ever since Jim Irsay came out, the owner of the Colts, and everybody kind of colluded around getting Dan Snyder out just because he was hurting the brand. And this makes me think, I wonder if this is going to happen in other sports leagues with
Wait,
other
didn't that
owners.
happen to the Clippers owner?
Yeah, Don Sterling got kicked out, but in football,
Yeah.
In football, yeah, that's right. I haven't seen it in football.
Yeah, the Clippers owner also got forced to sell. So we're seeing
and George Shinn for the the Hornets.
Oh,
okay. I'm not too familiar with that one. I know the Clippers one for saying racist remarks, and I believe the Suns owner too was under investigation for a while as well. But to me, I think this is interesting, right? Like you're holding billionaires accountable. You know how hard that is, right? That it's extremely hard. I mean, if this is anything, Dan Snyder, it's taken all these years to get him out. They finally did it. The next one for me is obviously Major League Baseball, right?
Well, Marge Scott for the Reds. Remember that in the
She was
no. What year was that?
The 90s, I think, or 80s.
And Georgia Frontieri.
Who's that?
And Georgia Frontieri, who used to own the Rams.
I don't remember that.
Oh, she was
awful.
Really?
Well,
yeah, you'll have to look her up.
In modern day baseball, I can think of a few teams. You guys can fill in the blanks there that could probably use their owner getting kicked out of the league just because of how poorly things are running. So I'm not going to say anything because My family has ties with
Does it
those
start
teams.
with the A? Does it start with does the team start with the first letter A?
I don't know. You tell me.
S is the next letter?
Yeah,
Because
T.
I
that's
don't know.
But the difference is Dan Snyder, it's one thing to mismanage a team. It's another thing to just be an absolutely horrible human being. And guys like Sterling and George Shinn and Snyder, they're just horrible human beings. I mean, they harassed people. They blackmailed people. I think that Netflix needs to do a Dan Snyder
Oh,
a
they are.
documentary, but I hope they get Peter Dinklage to be Dan Snyder to
That'd be
really
funny.
make fun of him.
Yeah.
Hey guys,
he's like 4 feet tall.
so one last thing about basketball here. So Finnish NBA player Mark Hannon, he's reporting for mandatory military service. So I think about these guys like in baseball where they defect from Cuba and then they basically say, "See ya." So he is from Finland, but I guess he's keeping all of his ties to Finland, and so it's like, well, I got to do mandatory military service. So he's going to have to get out of the NBA for a while and go into the military service.
I think he gets an accelerated military. I believe like he's got a contract to fulfill, and he just has to do a couple months this offseason. Then he's going to be playing in the NBA again. So it's not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not such a,
So this is not like a member of like BTS, for example, one of like the biggest South Korean pop groups in the world, like just crazy. They play at the World Cup. They're going to play at the Super Bowl one day. Where one of their members has to go serve for a year in South Korea, right? That's part of their.
He's had to miss a bunch of years due to
Ted Williams.
Service.
Ted Williams. Oh yeah, twice.
Ted Williams too.
World War II and Korean War. And
so this is not unfamiliar to Americans, right? But it's interesting that you got to fulfill your civic duty and obligations. I think it's good. I like it. I think it's good. Like
it is to your generation and my generation, FP, because we didn't have a draft. I mean, we had a draft, but nobody's ever been drafted.
Actually, it's kind of interesting because I think I told you guys this once before. For my age, I was the first set that had to re-register for the draft after the Iranian crisis. And thank goodness I didn't get called up. But they said January through March of 1960, anybody who's born there has to register. And I'm all, wait a minute, that's me. I'm in college. I don't want to play in a sandbox, over in the Middle East. But
I found out that I'm not draft eligible anymore. Once you turn 26 years old, you don't need to go in the draft anymore. So I'm good.
Well, unless you're in Russia, then I think it's like age 60 or something. It's crazy.
Yeah. The other thing is there can also be a presidential, I forget what the terminology is called, where they can just increase the age. and then we're all screwed.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, guys, you ready for our second trivia question on the NBA Finals? Which NBA player was the first to win 2 NBA Finals MVP awards? Which NBA player was the first to win 2 NBA Finals MVP awards? And if you don't have any clue, I will give you the years when we come back. All right? Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Do not touch that dial. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101 one more time. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with FP Santangelo Jr. and Russell Jackman. Our second trivia question on the NBA Finals. Which NBA player was the first to win 2 NBA Finals MVP awards? Any guess?
Bill Russell.
No, I would have thought that too. Okay, now the years are 1970 and 1973.
Wilt Chamberlain.
Well, that's another good guess. No, Willis Reed for the Knicks.
Oh, the dearly departed.
I don't even know who that is.
He just died.
Yeah. You know what? Go. Didn't he have the big afro?
Not huge. That was more like Walt Frazier.
That was Walt Frazier. Yeah. But I love those.
Willis Reed is the guy who limped back on the court after being injured and inspired the Knicks to win a championship. And
that was his Kirk Gibson moment.
Given the fact that the Knicks haven't been back, haven't won a final since then, that says something about what he means in NBA history.
Yeah, you can blame John Starks for that one. Okay, go ahead, Effie. Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, my knowledge of old school NBA basketball comes from a game called NBA Street Volume 2, where you could pick the classic players, right? And I always take Larry Bird and Julius Irving, Dr. J.
I love
Okay,
Dr.
and I would just destroy kids. Everybody on my block, whoever wanted it, I invited them over, and I beat their butt. So that's what you're dealing with the millennial generation, right? It's only going to be worse for this new generation. So if you want to educate the kids, right, you want to make sure you put in a video game. And by the way, I will say this: the new MLB The Show that just came out like a few weeks ago has a Negroes League mode where you can play all the past Negro League stars and they educate you.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
It's awesome. It's very educational, and everyone is giving it rave reviews. So that's the way you got to teach this new generation. Put things in video games.
One of the problems with that, hold on a sec, is that because I play a statistical basketball game with my best friend, and one of the problems is that when you go backwards in the NBA, past 1973-74, there are no blocks and there are no steals. And you go back a little bit further than that, you wind up losing offensive rebounding as a statistic, and you also lose minutes after a little while. Once you get back to the 50s.
Yeah, because
that's interesting.
Like Will Chamberlain, he was always my favorite.
But you'll never know how many blocks he got. Exactly. For the vast majority of it, or Bill Russell. You don't really know how many blocks Bill Russell got on an average basis or steals because they didn't keep him back then.
Yeah.
And I would hope,
go ahead.
Sorry. I would hope the NBA at one point in time could just hire someone, AKA me and my best friend, to watch all the old NBA games and write down all the blocks and steals that these guys got.
So what's really, really cool is how they got the stats for all these like Negro League players, right, for the game, is they consulted a lot of historians from the Negro League Museum. And they actually have like the announcers are some of the historians from the Negro League Museums. And they're talking through the inning of when Jackie Robinson faced another player, when all these like historic moments happen, like why they're called the Monarchs. Like it was awesome. It's really cool and in depth. So
these guys are still alive.
Yeah. Well, they have interviews from a lot of these guys, Buck O'Neil, stuff like that. So, FP, you're going to be getting old when these gamers say, "Who is Michael Jordan?" I've never heard of him.
Oh, trust me. There's already things like that too. I bring up like '90s baseball players. Like, I don't know. I think I brought up Omar Vizquel, and they're like, "Who's Omar Vizquel?" And I was like, "Oh," and like he's like one of the smoothest shortstops of all time. He was barehanding baseballs. Like, okay, I'll go watch a YouTube video of him. Right? it's like this is what it is now, right? We get older. Like, there's a lot of things that you guys know that you're like, oh my God, you don't know. And it's just, that's how life works. So at least we have like this technology now, right? That you can just like pull something up on Google. Before you had to like, oh, I have a copy of a VHS. Let me show you how good so-and-so was.
And sadly, for a lot of like old NBA stuff, the stuff was recorded over and they didn't keep copies of those tapes.
Okay, so here's a trivia question that's not part of my trivia question. Who holds the record for college for the average NBA, high scoring?
Maravich?
Yes. See, a lot of people, Pete Maravich, who is he? And I mean, he was
someone estimated that if they allowed 3-pointers, if their 3-pointers were existed when Maravich was playing, because the college 3-point line was so short, that they said that he would have averaged about 60 points per game.
It wouldn't be he averaged, I think, 45 or 49.
44 points per game, but
44,
he would have averaged 60 if they had a 3-point game back then.
So I know who that is because he has one of the coolest nicknames ever.
Pistol
Pete. Yeah,
Pistol Pete.
My best friend was named Pete, and he was a really good basketball player. He was like 6 feet tall when we were all 5 feet tall, and we thought, man, he is going to the NBA. We used to call him Pistol, and the problem was he never grew. The rest of us caught up to him. So it's like he was still a very good basketball player in high school, but he was like just average height at that point, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, that's the tragedy of basketball. You could be a stud and you still can't really make it. I mean, I think Isaiah Thomas was like the first guy that was kind of short that made it in the NBA. But besides that, I'm talking about
there
not
was
that
Muggsy
Isaiah
Bogues.
Thomas.
There was
Bob
Muggsy
Cousy.
Bogues, and there was Spud Webb.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I guess in my generation, I saw Isaiah Thomas when he was with the Sacramento Kings, and I was like, "Oh my God, there's a short."
No, I thought you were talking about the other Isaiah Thomas from Detroit.
No, I'm talking about my generation's Isaiah Thomas, the short guy that played for the Celtics and the Kings, the NBA All-Star.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, that's right. Because I was also thinking of Isaiah, and I'm thinking that's a little before your time. The other Isaiah Thomas.
There's a lot of Isaiah Thomases.
Yeah, probably named after him.
Maybe. Yeah. You never know.
That's true. Hey guys, what do you think about Jalen Hurts? He's set to make $51 million per year for the next 5 years, and and I assume he had an agent. So Lamar Jackson, though, however, he chose not to hire an agent. He insisted on a guaranteed contract, and he chose to publicize his trade request. What could go wrong with those decisions?
Yeah. I got to tell you the story about Jalen Hurts' agent real quick, though, because this is one of the coolest stories, and it's going viral. So Nicole Lynn DM'd Jalen Hurts like a few weeks before he was about to be drafted and say, hey, just on social media, hey, I would love to be your agent. And they started talking and talking. She wasn't with the big agency, and he goes, okay, perfect. So a woman agent in the NFL ends up DMing one of the best players in the NFL before he becomes like the thing, right? Before he becomes Jalen Hurts that we know today. He was still a very big prospect at Alabama, right? Or I think he was at Oklahoma at the time because he went from Alabama to Oklahoma. But the story goes, she sent him a DM. He said yes. Then she negotiated the biggest contract in NFL history. That's awesome.
That's awesome. Now the thing is,
FP, I gotta try that sometime.
Yeah,
yeah, I gotta start DMing these college players. Like, hey, you need an agent?
So I have a question though, because I know there's certain rules about like when agents can, how they can contact players and stuff. So hopefully, she probably just followed whatever the rules were. But that's interesting.
Yeah, she probably followed the rules. I think with the NIL now, there is no rules. You can have an agent whenever. So.
Oh, okay.
Back then, though, that was right before NIL, so she probably followed the protocols.
Okay. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers might want to give that lady a call.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you guys think about
Lamar Jackson?
Moving on here for just a minute here. What do you think about a Major League Baseball franchise in Salt Lake City? I think the ball will travel far like it does in Colorado, but is that going to happen?
I don't think they have the population. I don't think they have the population to truly make. Yeah, and the TV revenues wouldn't make sense because Salt Lake City is not a big TV market, and the surrounding area doesn't generate a lot of TV because that whole area around there has almost nobody living there. I mean, the rest of Utah is very low in population. I think, Vegas is where everything is at right now. And if there's going to be another baseball team, it's going to be in Vegas.
So I've heard Nashville, Tennessee, which Nashville is exploding since the pandemic.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
Salt Lake has been exploding as well. A lot of people have been moving out of the city to Salt Lake. And in my personal experience too, playing baseball in Sacramento, the Mormon community loves baseball. I played with so many Mormons. I had tons of Mormon teammates. Bryce Harper is a Mormon. A lot of people don't know that.
Really?
Yeah, he is a Mormon. Yeah, his whole family practices Mormonism, including his wife. So, like, Mormons love baseball. I think they love baseball more than they love basketball. So I think you're going to see a huge difference if baseball goes out there. I would circle first, though, probably Nashville out of all the cities.
Yeah,
people are talking about Las Vegas, but it's seeming like the A's in Las Vegas aren't going to work out. I'd be shocked if that ends up happening. I think it's more going to be in Nashville.
Do they have an indoor stadium for Vegas?
The area, so the Area 51s, who are the AAA affiliate of Las Vegas, they do not have an indoor stadium, and it gets like 120 degrees some days.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Vegas, they can build a stadium in like an hour and a half if you ask them to.
Well, why don't they take the Raiders stadium and just enclose it?
I don't think it was built
I
for
don't think
baseball.
we're never going to see a multi-use stadium again in all of our existence. These teams are worth too much by themselves that they're going to insist, you're not going to have the pitchers mound anymore, during football season and all that other crap
That's okay. You know what? They can play football and just play around the just leave the mound there. An obstacle.
Or,
I
have
disagree
a reversible field. Have a field that actually sinks into the ground, and then another field moves in over the top of it.
Russ, I disagree with you because I think the NBA is going to expand into Las Vegas, and I think they're probably going to share their arena with the Golden Knights, just because it makes a lot of sense. You'd save a lot of money.
The NBA owes Seattle a team, and so they're not going to.
They don't owe anybody anything.
Yeah, they do.
They don't owe anybody anything.
Silver has said
money.
That they're going to add another team. It's going to be in Seattle. Seattle did not deserve to lose the Sonics, and that was totally unfair for the city of Seattle. They'd always supported their
why
team.
Did they lose them to Oklahoma?
Because the owner saw a bigger profit to move to got a huge offer.
Yeah, but sometimes you can't.
City.
I mean, you can't just do that on your own. You have to get permission. Hey guys, we're going to cut to our third commercial break here. And I asked this question once before. I remember. I'm glad Vern's not on today, just because he go, wait a minute. You already asked this question months ago. Which NBA player was the first to win? Excuse me. Let me back up. Which NBA player was the first winner of the NBA Finals MVP despite being on a losing team?
So I know the answer to this.
In the Super Bowl, you had
Chuck
remember. Kelly, I think, for Dallas.
Yeah, I remember this. I remember you asking that one. You don't have something better than that?
I'm sorry. Well, you know what? I'm sorry.
I have a trivia question for you then. I have a trivia question for you then.
Okay, go ahead. We got a little time. Go ahead. Ask.
What was the name that Madison Bumgarner used when he did his rodeo stint? What was the fake name that he came up with?
Cowhide.
No,
you got to wait till the next commercial break.
Oh, yeah, don't, as Homer Simpson would say, don't. Okay, all right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101 will be right back with some closing comments. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with FP Santangelo Jr. and Russell Jackman. Our third trivia question: which NBA player was the first winner of the NBA Finals MVP award despite being on the losing team?
Jerry West.
Jerry West. Okay, get that.
Yep.
Do you remember the year?
72?
No, 69.
69. Sorry.
69, yeah. That's okay.
But it was Damon
so
Saunders. It was Damon Saunders was the Madison Baumgartner's fake name.
No, it was not. It was not. You are incorrect, Russ, on your own trivia question. So coming back, we asked, what is Madison Baumgartner's rodeo name? It is Mason Saunders.
Mason Saunders. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Saunders.
no.
I knew it was Saunders was the last name.
All right. So you guys ready for our thoughts for the day?
Yeah, my last thoughts. Let's go.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. What did the horse say after it tripped? Help, I've fallen and I can't giddy up. Oh, that's pretty good.
That's a dead joke.
I ordered a chicken and an egg online. Oh,
Which
I'll tell you
will come
comes
first?
up first. Yeah, there you go. I didn't know that one. Well, thank you, FP, for these past years of being a co-host on Sports Econ 101. And if you ever get some time, just tell your new employer, hey, I've got to do this show for 40 minutes, but I'll be back.
I need a break today. I got to hop on. So
Exactly. You know?
You'll definitely be missed by us, FP. You were a huge contributor, and we really appreciated all the demographic information that you're able to come up with. And the fact that
you can always text that stuff to us before the show if you want.
Yeah, thank you guys seriously for having me on for all these years. It was really cool getting the text message from Edward to come on and just talk some sports and the business side of things. So it's been a pleasure since 2019. So we've had a good run. But hopefully I'll be around and hopefully we stay in touch.
You stay in touch. Absolutely.
The good news is that now I officially become the youngest person on the show again.
That's right. All right, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We'll be discussing more sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Adios.
Oh. Oops.